Well, hello, COS supporters, and welcome back to another edition of COS Live. My name is Andrew Lush. I will be your host, and of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Rita Peters, who's the Senior Vice President of Legislative Affairs. Rita, it is so great for you to be back. I have missed you terribly.
I have missed doing the program with you, Andrew. It's been a busy summer for me so far, but I'm really glad to be back and really excited about today's guest.
We have an excellent guest, and I'm so happy that I have my partner in crime to interview this guest. I've been missing my partner in crime. So I want to ask all of you out there, though, where are you tuning in from? It's so important that we hear which state that you are coming into us from. Just send us a little comment below. Tell us what states you're coming in from. And while you're at it, please send out a Rumble, a retweet, a share, or whatever platform you're viewing in. Make sure you're sharing that with friends and family. That's how we grow this show, and that's how we bring more awareness to the secret weapon that our founding fathers gave to us, and that is an Article 5 Convention of States. So we have a pretty jam-packed show for you today. First, we have a special guest who tuned into or who called into Mayor Rudy Giuliani's show, and he educated the mayor on Article 5 and Convention of States, and he was able to switch Rudy Giuliani's fears and reservations, and maybe Rudy Giuliani might now be considering Convention of States as the solution as big as the problem. We have our Article 5 trivia giveaway with COS Vice President Mike Ruthenberg, but before we get to all of that, we have some breaking news that we would like to share with you. The most accurate pollsters in the past 6 years released a nationwide survey of likely voters, and the results are nothing short of astonishing. A new poll by Convention of States Action in partnership with the Trafalgar Group shows nearly 2/3 of likely voters support Article 5 Convention of States. Over 65% of likely voters support a convention for proposing constitutional amendments, focusing on term limits, spending restraints, and limits on federal government's authority. This crosses party lines. 81% of Republicans, 63% of independents, and 50% of Democrats expressed their support. Less than 17% of all respondents are opposed. What's even more incredible is the crosstabs. They revealed that there is very strong support among college-aged adults and 35 to 44-year-old adults. So think of parents that still have children within the home. But there's strong majority support among every age bracket. Furthermore, strong majorities of all ethnicities support Convention of States, including 60% of Hispanics, 62% of Blacks, and 76% of Asians. Rita, these numbers are astonishing. Can you tell us, why are we seeing such widespread agreement on this subject, and what's your reaction to these results?
Well, first of all, I just want to emphasize what an amazing thing this is. Think about how divided we are as a country on almost every topic. I mean, really, I can't think of any topic that unites the vast majority of the American people across party lines. And then we have this poll showing that the American people do unite around the idea of using the tool the Constitution gave to the states in order to rein federal government, to put the brakes on Washington. This is no longer a controversial idea. You know, sometimes, especially in the legislatures, there's talk about the Convention of States resolution as if it's really controversial and scary. Well, come on, it isn't. Look at these numbers. This is what the American people agree is the solution to federal overreach and the dysfunction in our nation today. And so I'm really hopeful that the state legislators who are still sitting on the fence are going to pay attention to this and understand that this can no longer be said to be this scary, controversial idea. The numbers show in black and white that the people agree this is what needs to be done. We need to take action. And, you know, as far as the question about whether it's surprising that the Convention of States solution could unite people across party lines. At Convention of States, we have been saying since we started the organization that this is totally nonpartisan, because Convention of States is not about imposing one particular type of policy upon people. Convention of States is about who decides. Should an elite group of career politicians in Washington, D.C. decide public policy for everyone in the country, or should the people and their state elected officials decide the public policy for the people of their states? We believe the latter is the way it should be. We know that it's the way the Constitution set up our system of governance to work. And now we can say definitively that the people of America still believe in that, and they want their state legislatures to use their constitutional power to get back to that. So, it is impressive that there is this much agreement among Americans of every political stripe, but maybe we shouldn't be surprised that those are the results.
Mm-hmm. And Rita, you just said it right there, what we've known for a really long time at Convention of States. We've known that the American people are ready to use this type of solution, using an Article 5 convention. And now we just have the hard proof. We have the numbers that back that up, because it was 67% of Americans are ready for this and want to use amendments to rein in the federal government. I mean, you can't get any more clear than that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So to learn more, please go to www.conventionofstates.com and share these results with friends and family. These are huge numbers, and these need to be shared. We need to get more people engaged in the fight for liberty, and we need to end federal tyranny. This is the way to do it. So please tell your friends and family. All right, with that, we're going to transition over to Mike Ruthenberg, who has the Article 5 trivia giveaway question. Mike, over to you.
Thank you, Andrew. I'm glad to be here. It is such a great time to be involved in Convention of States. We got some new polling, which I know you're going to hear about. We have some amazing activism going on all through the organization, which I know is the big subject of our discussions today. But I'm here to give away some cool COS swag. I'm going to give away one of our brand new hats. We got these cool trucker hats or structured hats. This one is a Second Amendment hat. It has the COS patch on it. Pick your colors. You'll be able to pick whatever hat you want. We also have dad hats back on the wall over my shoulder. You can see one of them, or the baseball caps, unstructured ones. So you get to pick a hat if you get this question. I'll tell you, if you get this question, you will be somebody that we have tremendous respect for, because this one's not terribly easy. So I'm just going to jump right into it. And of course, at the top of the news right now, the Supreme Court's recent decision to overturn Roe v. Wade via the Dobbs case was absolutely a historic ruling. There's a lot of people that are celebrating. There's countless lives that will be saved as a result of this very historic decision. But did you know that there was a movement in the 70s to call the Convention of States to overturn Roe v. Wade? The Article 5 process. And remember, there's two different ways. It can be done by the legislature, the federal legislature, or the Convention of States. But the Article 5 process has been used before to overturn Supreme Court decisions, such as the 11th Amendment and the 14th Amendment. 19 states joined that Article 5 convention movement, but it grounded to a halt after a letter of a Supreme Court justice was circulated among some conservative advocacy groups. Here's my question. Which Supreme Court justice authored a letter in 1980 that sparked conservative groups to oppose the Article 5 movement for overturning Roe v. Wade? You're going, wow, that's pretty hard. How about a hint? He was the Chief Justice that presided over Roe v. Wade. I'll be back later to give you the answer. Scratch your head a little bit, see what you can do. Put your answer into the chat, and let's see who our winner is. Back to you, Andrew.
Thanks, Mike. Well, today we have Gary Brenner, who is the Grassroots Media Director for Convention of States Action. Gary, thank you for joining us. So I want to start off by just talking about this really interesting interview that you had with Rudy Giuliani live on air. You told him about Convention of States Action. I want to share real quick with the audience a little segment of that discussion you had with Rudy Giuliani, and then I want to get your reaction to that. So I have a minute clip queued up. Let's go to that.
If we believe in the Constitution, Mr. Mayor, then we should believe in the whole Constitution, including using the whole Constitution. We have to do this not instead of what we've been doing, but in addition to what we've been doing. And the people, Mr. Mayor, are already doing this in an organization and a movement named Convention of States. Mr. Mayor, the legislatures of 19 states have already passed uniform resolutions to do this based on 3 subjects: term limits on Congress and federal officials, fiscal restraints on the federal government, and limiting the power and jurisdiction of the federal government.
This is something I have gotten a great deal of literature about, and I've had many talks with some of the same people you're talking about right now, and I have an open mind about it. But can I tell you my reservation? And maybe it's not a correct one, but I'm afraid we might change it the wrong way.
They gave us 2/3 of the states required to have the convention, which is now 34 states. They put the ratification requirement at 3/4, which is 38 states. That's a super majority, which only amendments with wide, broad support will pass that high requirement to become ratified.
And would like to hear a lot more about it. There's no question we've got to do something to save our country.
Sir.
And maybe this is it. Let me take a look at it, okay, Gary? You've made the best case for it I've heard so far.
Wow, I mean, that ending right there says it all. So if you listen to the full segment, it was about 10 minutes long. You gave a very eloquent explanation, a very eloquent pitch for Convention of States. And initially, as the video indicated, Rudy Giuliani was a bit skeptical. He had some reservations, which you cleared up quickly using your sharp wit and your ability to think on your feet. So that was really good. But I want to ask you, what made you want to call in Rudy Giuliani? You called in on Independence Day, so the day was appropriate as well for talking about saving the nation. And you seemed to sway him a little bit. But what were you expecting, and why did you give him a call?
Well, I've been a long-time admirer of Mayor Giuliani, and more recently, as I've been listening to him on the radio, he has this radio show in New York City on WABC. I've been listening to him, and like most media people, I would say, the emphasis for them tends to be on the problems and less emphasis on possible solutions. So in particular with Mayor Giuliani, as I listen to him on an ongoing basis, I hear him talking about the problems and frustration with the problems. And I've got the feeling he needs to hear also about Convention of States and the Article 5 Convention. So actually the day before I tried calling in, the day before Independence Day, which I think was Sunday, I tried calling in. I got the call screener. He put me on hold, but time ran out and I didn't get on that show. So the next day I was celebrating Independence Day, and I said, I'm going to try it again. As I was listening to his show, tried again. I got the call screener. He put me on hold, and lo and behold, I got on with the mayor. And as you played the clip and the recording of the interview, that gave me the opportunity to tell him about the solution finally. And that's kind of how it went, how I got on.
Gary, all I have to say is, wow. I was so impressed. You were so confident and bold. You answered his questions just really directly. And I know that this whole time you're thinking on your feet. You don't know exactly what he's going to say, right? You're having to think on your feet. You know you have a huge audience listening to you at the time. Tell me what that experience was like for you. Were you nervous? Did you already have in your mind points that you wanted to get across? What was it like for you?
It was a mixture of a lot of things. First, I guess, exhilaration of getting on that mega powerful platform, that megaphone, knowing that there was a lot of people listening, excitement. And I was grateful too to have that chance. And I knew that what I wanted to say, because I've been with Convention of States for a bit, and I've been honing my ability to give the COS message out and practicing it privately in front of my mirror and on video recording myself doing it in front of smaller groups of people. So I kind of, over that time, I built up a confidence and a comfort with talking about the COS message and the COS story. And yeah, then finally getting this chance on a big platform was really, I was really excited to do it and happy to have that chance.
And not only did you get this chance to talk about Convention of States on such a huge platform with a large audience, but you spoke, like you said, and like Rita said, you spoke very clearly, and you had rehearsed and practiced beforehand, so you were ready to deliver it in that moment when you were on such a large platform. So I guess my question is then, I mean, because hearing the end of that segment, Mayor Giuliani was convinced that maybe this is a solution. You'd assuaged some of those fears that he had. So is there going to be any effort to reach out to Mayor Giuliani, and could he possibly be an endorser in the future?
Yeah, I sure will be reaching back out to Mayor Giuliani. I think I'll try to call him again during his radio show, and I'm also going to send him a follow-up email, making sure I touch on the main points again, and making sure that he's got my contact information if he wants to reach out to me. I'm hoping we can set up an interview for Mark Meckler or Senator Santorum to talk with Mayor Giuliani about Convention of States. So I'm really hopeful about that. And I think, and then your question, Andrew, about the endorsement. Yes, I think that's a definite possibility, judging from knowing Mayor Giuliani, knowing about him for a long time, and then especially what he said during the call-in that I had with him, the comments that he made. I think that's a real possibility, is an endorsement.
Absolutely. I think so too. Now, Gary, essentially what you did was to give Rudy Giuliani an elevator pitch. And sometimes that's an intimidating task, I know, especially for newer supporters and volunteers. Convention of States can seem complicated because it stems from this somewhat obscure constitutional provision that not many people have heard about, even legislators and attorneys. The process itself of Article 5 is a little bit complicated. There's a lot of misinformation out there about it. So how do you think other COS supporters and volunteers can learn from this conversation that you had with Rudy Giuliani so that they too can speak confidently about COS?
Well, I would suggest that they take the time and put in the effort to look at some of the foundational material about this. Look at least some of the source documents and documentation from the framers of the Constitution. Look at Article 5 itself, the text, read it through, then look at the Federalist Papers where they talk about Article 5 and Convention of States. You can do a search on the internet and put in the keywords, Federalist Papers, Article 5, and it'll give you hits, specific citations about what to look at in the Federalist Papers, for example. You do a similar search, you can find writings from the framers and other founders of the country in their personal correspondence when they talked about Article 5. George Washington wrote several letters to personal letters to people about it. Same thing with James Madison, for example. You can read those personal letters where they talked about the Article 5 convention. Doing that, I think, gives you a good foundation, and it gives your comments authority on when you talk about it. And then when you're questioned about it, or even from people who are opposing what you're doing, and they rebut what you've said, then you can respond authoritatively with what you've read directly from the source documentation. I think that it will give your commentary a lot of weight. So that's a suggestion that I would have.
Yeah, I would just add to that, visit conventionofstates.com if you're new and getting started. conventionofstates.com/resources. There's a ton of materials out there and, summaries, talking points. And then when you're ready to go deeper, I would agree with Gary. Look into those original source documents and really get that authoritative response down. But yeah, cosuniversity.com too is a great place to go to get training. But don't be intimidated. We've got tons of resources for you out there.
Well, with that, Gary, I have to do a tip of the hat to you for just how eloquent you are, how prepared you are. It's obvious that you know your stuff and you've really honed your skills in many different areas. I'm really excited to see what comes of Mayor Giuliani in the future. We're going to have you back for sure. So thank you again for joining us today. Gary, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. Again, please come back.
Thank you both so much, Rita and Andrew. I'm grateful to be in the fight alongside of you both and all of our great activists.
Yes. Absolutely.
We have our Article 5 trivia answer now. Ruth and Berg. Mike, over to you.
Okay, you guys, I'm back. Thank you, Andrew and Rita, for another great show. And now I'm here to give you the answer to our trivia question. Remember, the winner of our trivia is going to get one of our cool new COS hats. Of course, they come in different colors. And we also have the unstructured versions of that. And if you didn't win, if you're not the one that got the hat, then go to shopconventionestates.com. They are cool. Everybody wants them. And you'll certainly want to wear our gear because it gives us the opportunity to speak with people, spread the word like it's happening all over the nation. Okay, so if you recall, the question was, which Supreme Court justice authored a letter in 1980 that sparked conservative groups to oppose the Article 5 movement that happened in the 70s for overturning Roe v. Wade? And the hint, if you recall, was it was the Chief Justice that was presiding or that presided over Roe v. Wade. And of course, you can rewind back if you want some of the cool background to that. Well, the answer was Chief Justice Warren Burger. So think about that. In 1973, he was one of 7 justices who signed on to Roe v. Wade, which legalized abortion on demand nationwide and upended long-standing laws in all 50 states. There was widespread public outrage against the decision. As a result, people began to cast around for a remedy. Many fixed on the constitutional amendment process as such a remedy, and in 1974, the Indiana legislature passed an Article 5 application for a convention to propose an amendment to overrule Roe. Missouri joined the following year in Louisiana in 76. The campaign picked up steam, and by the time Burger wrote the first of his 3 letters, 19 of the necessary 34 states had adopted applications to overturn Roe in various ways. So you can understand why the Chief Justice was nervous. But here's the ultimate irony. The leadership of a few deeply conservative groups launched a campaign to rescind all Article 5 applications. Now, I think the really interesting thing here is people have known for a very long time that Roe v. Wade was very unpopular. If anything, the states should be the ones that are going to regulate abortion. And now we're back to that. We're very pleased. And now I'll turn it back to you, Rita.
Thanks, Mike. We do this show every week because we believe in America, the greatest nation that has ever existed. But what is being done to her by swamp monsters in DC is a violation of everything that has made her special. The founders knew this might happen, and they gave us a plan to fight back. In Article 5 of the Constitution, they inserted a fail-safe, a convention of states for proposing amendments to rein in federal tyranny. We are organizing where we, the people, have the advantage in the states. And the best part, neither the president nor Congress can do a thing to stop us. The states are agreeing in advance to discuss amendment proposals on 3 topics: term limits, fiscal restraints on Congress, and limits on the size and scope of the federal government. This is truly a solution as big as our nation's problems. Join Governor Ron DeSantis, Ben Shapiro, Senator Rand Paul, Mark Levin, and millions of liberty-loving patriots by signing and sharing the petition at conventionofstates.com. Then click the Take Action tab to help us save America.
After you have gone to the Take Action page and volunteered to help save America, please follow us on social media. We are on Rumble, MeWe, Facebook, Twitter, Parler, YouTube, Instagram, Getter, and TikTok. Please like our content and then also share our content. Get the word out about Convention of States. You can listen to this podcast and other historic legacy content wherever you podcast from. Just search Convention of States to find it. You can text START to 54555. Again, that's START to 54555 to get important COS messages and updates. Please check out the battle cry with COS president and co-founder Mark Meckler. It's on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Well, we'll see you next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for another edition of COS Live. Remember, politics is not a spectator sport. You need to get in the fight for liberty. You need to get in the arena and get your face marred, and you need to get into the political process. Your country needs you, and we need you. Thanks for joining us.